Very good. Thank you very much. Rise for Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Can I have
Carroll. Alderman Stowe.
Here.
Alderman Tripp.
Here.
Alderman Vaccaro.
Here.
Alderman Hunt. Alderman Janetti.
Here.
Alderman Kislitis.
Here.
Alderman Dempsey. Alderman Yeoman.
Here.
Alderman Radin. Present. Alderman Short.
Here.
Alderman Henry. Alderman Blackwell. Alderman DeLibero. 8 present, 6 absent.
I declare a quorum. There is a late communication under the Board of Apportionment. Mr. Castellitis, please.
Make a motion to accept late vote communication number 1.
Second.
Second by Mr. Yalman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Where's the late communication?
Joan, it's in your packet, municipal budget report, this one right here.
Okay.
I'll wait. And then it's the second page. Page 1 is police, $1,463. Animal fund, and then the next page in my packet is $5,000 transfer from boat contingency to unanticipated primaries. Okay, so without getting ahead of ourselves, I'll entertain consideration of previous minutes. That would be the August 8th meeting of the Board of Aldermen and also a special meeting on August 29th.
So moved.
Mr. Yalman, and second by Mr. Alderman Short. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thank you. Okay. Public session. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak? Yes. Could you please come up to the microphone, sir, behind the podium, and just name and address for the public record, please? Mr.
Jeff
Sweeney.
Sweeney, 11 Cottage Avenue. And I wanted to bring to the town's attention an issue with the sidewalk. It is at the corner of 11 or of Cottage Avenue and Judson Place, where the utility who had put in the guide wires a couple months ago did not fix the asphalt there. So it's all torn up, and this is a bus stop where multiple buses and children and schools get picked up. And it's basically a hazard. And I want to bring this to formally to the town's viewing, so that way they can either address it themselves or bring it to the attention of the utilities that may be able to fix this.
If I may, sir, this is a bus stop for school children, sir?
Yeah, it's a bus stop at the corner of Cottage and Judson. It's heavily trafficked. It's across from the library, and I would just want to make sure that the kids are safe and that the pedestrians going to the library are safe as well.
Interesting. I know we just did a sidewalk paving project just off Pershing Drive. Mr. DeLessio, do you think we might be able to attend to this children's bus stop?
Yes, I've been out there. They've been putting on telephone pole over the summer, changing a lot of telephone poles. Where their houses, they put a new garden wire. That's where they broke into the concrete. They've been contacted, and we're waiting for them to come out and fit it. They're putting all new poles, and the old poles will be replaced. And they're doing it, they're changing the poles, but they're not concrete around the poles. Well, after a couple of persons around, they're cleaning up some of the mess. They're aware of it, they said they're supposed to come out and take care of it. I'll look at that issue tomorrow. See if I can take care of that problem during your house, the kids.
Sure.
The problem. I'll take care of it.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. DeLessio. Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Sweeney, for bringing
Okay.
that to our
Thank you.
attention, sir. Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to speak? Sir in back with the teal blue shirt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Chris Phipps, 60 Rockwood Avenue. Last month I was down here slightly critical, so I just want to take a minute tonight to be on the other side, complimentary. Last night we met the Board of Education. 6 of our members met with some of the members here of the Aldermen, and I want to thank them as well, being Charlie, Joe, Josh, and Marty Dempsey was there as well. Talking about, like we did last month, beginning what is probably the first of many, many, many talks about regionalization, shared services. We had some very good dialogue. Again, it's extremely early. It's going to take a long time, and it could be a year's process. But I just wanted to thank the gentlemen that are here that came down, because I do think there's some good ideas. And it's nice to know that we share the same goals and vision. We all want the same thing, the best education in a fiscally responsible manner and get the most that we can. So I was very encouraged. And again, it's a process, and hopefully we'll get somewhere. But I'm sure from everything, it may not, be regionalization as a whole. It may be, which would be great. But I'm sure that we're going to find some benefits of these meetings, again, getting all these minds together. And we have some other educators with Mr. Schuer, Mr. Dempsey also being educators, and businessmen as well. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you for your kind words, sir. Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to speak? I know there's a few more. Oh, Mr. Connolly. Would be about fishing, would it?
Dave Conley, 53 North Prospect Street Extension. I just wanted to make the aldermen aware that Comcast is starting a new service. Currently, they broadcast the aldermen meetings on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. They're starting an on-demand service for public broadcasting, and the city has signed up for that. So from now on, when they get it going, the aldermen meetings will be available on demand on Comcast.
And we're rolling now, is that correct, Mr. Connolly? We're rolling now?
Yeah, oh yes.
Good. Thank you very much, sir.
Red lights are on.
Nice to know. Okay. Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to speak? Sir in the green shirt, please.
Good evening. I'm Jim Prestiano, 58 Morningside Drive, Ansonia. And I'm representing the Housing Authority tonight as chairman.
Welcome.
Thank you. I wanted to address the board, and if you give me a moment here, wanted to address the board relative to what's been happening at the Ansonia Housing Authority for the past several months, specifically 4 months. After viewing the past couple of aldermanic meetings, and there were comments made about the Housing Authority, I and my fellow commissioners thought it a good idea to come down tonight and share some of our news and answer any questions that you may have, if I could answer them. If I can't answer any questions you have about the Housing Authority, I could do that at a later time through our executive director.
Well, Sir, actually, with most people at public session, what you're saying will go on the public record. I did have a quick fix for one resident's sidewalk situation, but usually it's not a give and take or question.
Okay. Okay. For those of you not fully aware of us, the Ansonia Housing Authority employs 10 full-time and several part-time employees, which serve over 800 families in the different communities, 3 different communities. That's Seymour, Ansonia, and Shelton. Housing for the elderly and disabled is managed by the authority at 3 separate locations in Ansonia, with 2 located on Woodlawn Avenue and the 3rd at Beaver and Central Streets. For the past 4 months, the authority has been operating under the leadership of Carol Mobilio, who served as interim director during our search for a new executive director. During this period, the board performed a nationwide search resulting in 10 applicants, and from that 10, the field was narrowed down to 3 qualified candidates. After the interviews of the 3 candidates, the Board of Commissioners unanimously voted to hire Steve Nakano, former executive director of Derby Housing Authority, and Steve joined our team as of August 28th and has already made headway in discovering some income-producing measures that we will implement immediately. The board and the staff are very glad to have Steve join the team. So what else have we been doing in the past 4 months? Under the leadership of Carol, as I had mentioned before, with guidance from the Board of Commissioners, the authority has been very, very busy. I just want to give you a small sampling of the accomplishments as follows. If you've noticed, if you've been around our facilities, the authority has put a big focus on beautifying the 3 properties. We planted flowers and repaired and replaced signage. We've added new floors in the O'Donnell building and the common spaces on Woodlawn. We've done some brickwork and landscaping on the Artoli Center, as well as being in the process of having the entire roof replaced for that facility. In addition, we are undertaking a major redesign and repaving of the parking area at Woodlawn, providing an additional 8 to 10 parking spaces, which are desperately needed. The problem at Woodlawn, and Chief, you'll probably realize this, is we have more apartments than we do parking spaces. So I'm sure you get calls about the parking up there all the time. So hopefully we'll be able to straighten that out. We've also done some major tree trimming and tree removals at all 3 sites. Administratively, the authority has put through a rent increase, saying that increase was not done in over 5 years. Now, while that doesn't sound like a real good thing for the residents pay just a portion of the rent, which is based on the gross income. So the rent increase will allow the authority to increase its revenues and invest back into our facilities and programs. We had site visits in May and June from both HUD and CHAFA, which went very well, and both entities were pleased with what they saw and suggested we work through the Small Cities Grant Program for future improvements to our facilities. We work closely with Sheila O'Malley on any grants that come our way, and we look forward to her supporting us in that moving forward. And moving forward, we are looking into the VASH program, which is the Veterans Affairs Supportive Housing. There's not a housing program like that in the Valley, and we're looking to see if we could get our agency involved with that. Also, we're looking into locations and properties that may be suitable for smaller redevelopment projects. I do want to respond to one of the comments that was made at, I think it was the last aldermanic meeting from Alderman Henry, and that's regarding the fire calls. We are aware of that. I live on Morningside Drive, so I can hear the trucks coming. I know when they're going to Woodlawn because they make the turn off of North Main, and we know that there's way too many calls that are coming through. Police too. I know that we get a lot of calls from the police, and we're concerned about the nature of those calls and what they're for the safety of the residents that are up there. But one of the things that we are doing from a facility standpoint relative to the fire calls, when we do turn over an apartment, we are installing hoods over the stoves, so hopefully that'll help. But you have to realize that these apartments, some of them are 400 square feet, 350 square feet. So wherever that smoke detector is what's setting off the alarms. The most important thing is that we work together with the fire and police, communicate a little bit more. If we have residents that are habitual with setting off the alarms, we'd like to talk with those residents and maybe help them. Maybe they're in need of supportive services or whatever, because it's all from cooking is what happens, and sometimes things get out of hand. That's basically what I have. I know that this type of thing hasn't been done regularly. We do have aldermen who attend our meeting. We do attend the staff meeting. Mayor, is it every 2 weeks? Every 2 weeks, so all this information goes through the city, and we keep everyone informed. So with that, I thank you for your time, and I have nothing else to say.
Well, thank you for the update, Mr.
Okay.
Cristiano. We appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to speak? Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to speak? I'll ask for a third time. Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to speak? Hearing none, seeing none, public session is closed. Public official session. Mayor Cassetti?
Just a short update. Good evening, members of the Board of Aldermen, residents of the great city of Ansonia. There was a big announcement last Thursday. RugPad USA has come to Ansonia. I want to welcome Carl Froelich, the owner of it. They are going to occupy 173,000 square feet. They will be leasing the space, and they should be in 10 to 9 days. They are bringing 56 employees with them, with an additional 50 more within the next 2 years. They're located at 1 West Main Street and 35 Main Street. If you know, as you go up by Eagle Hose, that building on the left, they're going to occupy that. That means we've brought in 3 manufacturers and retained them in Ansonia. RugPad is one, Farrell's at the new Farrell building, and Better Packages. Ansonia is on the move. We have some great announcements coming up. As you could see today, Home Goods just put up their sign over there at the Marshall's building. So without that, if you have any questions, I'm here for you. Thank you.
Alderman Radin has a question for the mayor.
I have a couple of things. Thank you for the checking with the water company. But all I see and here is that they changed the inspections from biannual to annual, but they still haven't inspected any of them, because I've talked to people, biannual, they said in the spring. Shouldn't it have been done in the
Yeah,
spring?
I talked to Anthony DeSalvo, the vice president of operations there.
I know you
And he
did.
told me that he did that they
No,
did
he
it.
didn't. No, they didn't
Well, I
come
will
in our
call them
neighborhood at
tomorrow. I will
all.
call them tomorrow to give me the schedule on when they did it. You're talking about Church Street?
I'm talking about Jackson Street, Church Street, down in front of the cemetery on Wakely Avenue.
Right.
None of the ones in our neighborhood have been done, and people have told me in the other neighborhoods they haven't been done either.
Okay, I will
But I appreciate
contact them.
the
Yes.
information.
No, I wanted to get that to you.
I appreciate that, thank you. The other question I have, and again, it's something that I brought up a long time ago, we don't get our information in time to be able to read it. I got the boat agenda for last month on the night of the meeting, 5 minutes before the meeting. After I read it, after the meeting, of course, we passed it and everything, you have reinstated the job of constituent services. We just, as Board of Aldermen, said we didn't need that job right now, and we did do it. I don't understand how you can redo it, and it's a different job because it's part-time, and it's $25,000.
It's a part-time position. If you remember initially when I came to office, it was a $72,000 job with benefits. Then it went to $50,000 a year with benefits. Now it's $25,000 without benefits. I need somebody in my office to take the calls for the constituents. I need somebody there. Every mayor needs that, Joan. So I instituted.
I don't get any information. I think I got one thing about something that you were having this rugs pad, whatever it is. I'm sorry, I think we need the money more for maybe to give a raise to arms, but that's my opinion, because I am an arms commissioner and I see what they're doing. They're doing a great job. I apologize, I'm sorry, but I would like to have my information besides 5 minutes before the meeting, like they did with the contracts on the 2 buildings over here and the parking lot. And I don't know about anybody else, but I do read every single one, as you can see. Come to my store, you'll see a shelf that's about 3 to 5 foot long, 6 foot long. It's got from the time I've been on the board for 6 years. So I do read it. I do try and check with people in my neighborhood and everything. I hope everybody else does too.
Mr. Vaccaro, please.
Just want to shed a little light on that, Joan. The boat meeting was the night before our Alderman meeting last month. So the boat approvals, they got passed out 5 minutes before the meeting. I believe they put them in the mailbox. Some Aldermen would have already went to their mailboxes and checked, and they would have gotten them on time.
But that doesn't give us time. We should have waited until the next meeting for them. That's my opinion.
Mr. Stowe, your hand is up, please.
Richie, can I defer to Richie and then go back to you,
Sure.
Mr. Mayor?
Sure.
So, the mayor needs somebody in his department, and you're not adding money to the budget we're spending, you're using the money from inside the budget that we've passed, right?
It was a transfer from boat contingency that boat approved and came to this board for approval also.
But
So
this money is from a set budget that we have right now, is that correct?
correct, it was not additional.
Right,
funds.
so I mean, whether I always like what somebody does or doesn't do, I must say this. The mayor is in charge of the city, and if he does feel that he needs to move money around as long as it stays within the budget, I mean, that's his prerogative, in my opinion, whether I like it or not. And everybody here knows sometimes I don't like things. Here, Mr. Mayor, this is for you. This little gift. Thank you. You can frame that if you want to put it in your office or whatever. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stowe, for them words.
Yes.
Thank you.
Are there any questions for the mayor? No, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, Ms. Marini, Corporation Counsel, anything for the good of the order?
President, members of the board, I do want to, of course, in line with the Rugby USA announcement, want to thank the efforts of our constituent service director, Greg Martin, for helping the mayor's office put together the Ansonia Recharged campaign, which was launched last week. And of course, that's the map. It's right above Dave Connolly's head over there, and larger version behind him. And this is a way of trying to put all of the initiatives, all of the economic development projects we have going on in the city in one place. And it's not only for the purpose of the residents, so they could stay informed and updated, it's also to send a strong message outside of the city, outside of the boundaries of not only Ansonia, but maybe even outside of Connecticut, to let them know that Ansonia is in fact charging forward, that we are seeing economic development revitalization that really cuts against the grain of what's happening in Connecticut. We all saw what happened with Lexion recently, leaving New Haven for Boston, and similar stories across the state. And we're fighting to ensure the opposite is true in Ansonia, and we've been successful. Successful thus far, but there's a lot more to go. A lot of economic development initiatives, including copper and brass, in our downtown transformation project with the police station to complete. And by way of update, Sheila's going to touch on some of the specifics for economic development, but I can say in terms of contracts, in terms of moving the ball forward, we do have a closing date that's going to be scheduled on Peck School, the purchase, for later this month, just working with their attorneys to do that. We are awaiting Mr. Frank's appraisal of the 65 Main Street parcel, and that's going to be for our consideration of a condemnation action that will be discussed at our October meeting. We hope to have the appraisal done by that point in time. Talked to Mr. Frank earlier today. We also have, off the topic of economic development, to blight cleanup in our Stop Blight program, September 16th, the next big date to mark down. And that's a perfect volunteer opportunity for this board and for the residents. That's going to be a cleanup in the neighborhoods, and there's going to be organization at, I believe, 8:30 at the Ansonia Armory. That is the 16th. It's a Saturday, and we hope to have as many people come out for that. It's a good purpose. And as we stated earlier, the object isn't just to get a one-time cleanup here, but we want a volunteer corps to be in the wings for neighborhood cleanups and also to help supplement the actual blight program, the anti-blight program. Alderman Yalman had come up with a good idea a long time ago about having a corps of volunteers that could help do cost-free cleanups for individuals that were low income, seniors, disabled, residents that would otherwise have to have a lien put on their property. If they're eligible, if they applied, if they weren't fighting the blight violation, they can get some free help from volunteers for doing basic things like picking up trash and cutting the grass. Out from there, we're looking for a salary commission resolution. Salary commission wrapped up at their last meeting with a resolution. We're working with personnel and Youth Morales just to put that down onto paper, and that will be pending for your October meeting. And finally, we are looking for an ordinance committee meeting sometime this month, and we are targeting October to have the ordinances back on the dock. There's been a request by some of the aldermen to have a public forum on that either way, and so we're going to set enough time to get the word out to the public so they can comment on any of those proposed ordinances.
Can you put a copy of the ordinances that you're talking about now with the recent changes that we made?
Yeah,
at the
that's a
last
perfect
meeting in the
idea.
mailbox,
Yeah.
please?
I'm going to do that ahead of any ordinance meeting, and then I will talk with Randy about getting a definitive date, and also the police chief to be there, because I know his input is going to be important.
Or can I get them a little sooner?
In advance. We'll do it this week.
Thank you.
Any other, Joan?
Randy's in London, so he won't be back until the end of September 28th, I think he said, so we won't be able to have the ordinance until
So it's
October.
up to defer to the board if you want to wait for that, or if in the meantime we want to put a placeholder date together. That's either way. I'll get the ordinances out so we can take a look at it.
Thank you.
Okay, the other thing I have, John, is I would like a copy of the lease that we have with Fitzpatrick, because we were supposed to, in my opinion, when their job was done, we were supposed to be able to get that property back.
Actually, that was the subject of an FOI request, and I believe we had provided that to the Valley Sentinel, right?
I emailed to you, I'm not sure.
Yeah, and then we got that. So I have a copy of that in my email. I could just give you a forward. I could actually, I'll put it in all the board's boxes. So you
Okay,
have
the
that.
other thing I have is, and maybe nobody's noticed it because I didn't notice it until about 2-3 weeks ago. The sign they have that says cars for sale is disgusting. It's all ripped. That should have been taken down a long time ago. So I might suggest.
There is what looks to be a highly blighted sign.
Yes, it is.
And so I will talk to Dave and Rhonda about sending somebody out on that and talking
Well,
with
they
them.
just talked to Fitzpatrick.
Because a lot of
and
that
told him
looks
to take it down.
very nice. They've done a great job with the rest of the facility. It looks like $1 million.
Yeah, why did
but
they leave the
there is
sign
this
there?
one sign that seems like a decrepit sign that it's a little out of place with what's going on in the city. So we'll talk to them about that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Corporation Counsel? Remain seated. Just a quick question. I'm looking at October, the first week in October. So if there's an ordinance committee meeting the first week in October, this is between the 2nd and the 5th, that would be enough time to put it on the Board of Aldermen meeting on the 10th, correct?
Yes.
All right. All right. Just throwing it out to the aldermen on the ordinance committee. I'm looking at October 2, 3, 4, 5. Is there any conflicts or anything, or what people's schedules look like? You have a
I
conflict.
have a conflict on Mondays, our Arms Commission.
All right. What about Tuesday the 3rd, Wednesday the 4th, or Thursday the 5th? So we're looking at something between the, I hear no objection to something between the 3rd to the 5th of October. Is that correct?
Well, I would talk to Randy. I'm pretty sure the 5th.
Well, I just want to put
Yeah,
this
the
on
5th
Randy's
would probably
plate when he
be the
gets
best
back.
Thursday.
All right, so let him know as soon as he gets back that we need to do this. All right, okay, thank you for everyone's help. Thank you, Ms. Marini. Sheila O'Malley, Economic Development.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, members of the Board of Aldermen. A few quick updates, and then I want to talk a little bit about the Ansonia Housing Authority, although Jim did a great job talking to you about some of the things that they've accomplished and things that they are going to accomplish. Mayor touched on RugPad USA. That's a huge announcement for us because most of the state is struggling with manufacturing and trying to retain manufacturing jobs. And right here in Ansonia, we're going to have 56 jobs in manufacturing. So that actually impacts our entire downtown because now you have a workforce who's going to be spending their money at lunch, frequenting retail and restaurant spots here in the downtown, and perhaps even residing in Ansonia. Hopefully we'll get the new apartments up and running, and we'll have additional employees who will be seeking residence. So that's an exciting acquisition for the city of Ansonia. And thank you all for coming to those of you who came to the announcement. Peck School, we are wrapping up a phase 1, or actually an amendment to the phase 1. So we're just getting that in place before we acquire. Thanks to this board, we're going to be closing on that with Corporation Council's working on setting up the closing date. So we're looking for a revised phase 1. Sorry about that. Next Monday or Tuesday, we're going to remove the above-ground storage tank at 497 East Main Street. That's with grant money that we had previously received. And that is part of what we agreed to do for the new owners coming in, taking over the ATP and Palmer buildings. So you'll see some activity there. We may be calling you because I'm told that there's someone residing in 497 East Main Street, and that's not a residence. So we may be calling the police department on Monday or Tuesday morning. Our environmental consultants will be there. You saw coming soon on the adjacent Target piece. You will see fill being moved into that area to cover up some of the. There's a plan in place to remediate the environmental conditions there. So you'll be seeing that in the next month or so. We'll see some trucks doing some fill. Let's see, what else do we want to talk about? I think I'll just briefly touch on the Ansonia Housing Authority because their agency comes up a lot at this board, and I don't think it's been accurately portrayed. I think we are very fortunate to have Carol Mobilio, who stood in for an executive director as acting executive director. She has a wealth of knowledge and has been involved with the Housing Authority for many years. So I want to thank her for her service. She did an excellent job. And our chairman, Jim Prestiano, the board members, Joe Pinto, and everyone else on the board, they are doing a phenomenal job during some transition period. We have Steve Nakano, who I personally know, I couldn't be prouder to have Steve here at our Ansonia Housing Authority. He has extensive experience in securing grants and administering housing authorities. So we're happy to have him, and very happy with the Ansonia Housing Authority. Any questions for me? I'm probably
Can
skipping
we get
over some
just like
stuff.
a brief update on what's going on with Wakely Avenue?
Sure. Wakely Avenue should be out to bid by the end of this month. Any other
What's going
questions?
on in August?
Yeah. We don't control that. Yes.
I have a question. I took a ride down where this new company is going on West Main Street. It's very dark down there. I'm
Yeah.
hoping that they're going to put some lights. But the other thing I noticed was the railroad, I didn't even know there was railroad tracks there. I should have known, but I didn't. There's a sign that says railroad crossing, but it's way up high, your lights don't hit it. I think this is dangerous. I just think they need to get some lights or something down there. It's horrible. There were people standing on the side smoking cigarettes, and I never saw them. The person that was with me saw them, but I never saw them. But it is, that section in back of that building is
Yep.
very dark.
Agreed. And so RugPad USA is currently leasing the space. They are hoping to acquire that building, both buildings, 1 West Main Street and 35 Main Street. And when they do, you're going to see an enormous investment in upgrades to those two buildings.
But I'm not talking about the buildings, I'm talking about the
And the
street with the
properties,
lights.
absolutely.
And where is the parking going to be for 56 employees?
Have you been down to 1 West Main?
Yeah, I was down to 1 West Main last
Yep,
week.
there's a large parking area right down there.
I thought that was for the people in the apartments.
No, it's hard,
No,
it's
we gotta
hard
go
to.
inside the area.
Oh,
We gotta go
yeah, over the railroad
Yeah,
tracks.
over the tracks.
I didn't go over
Tracks,
the
and
railroad
inside,
tracks.
it's a large
Believe me.
parking area.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
because
just
Farrell-
didn't
Yeah,
see it
Farrell
from the
was
road.
located there, so they had all their.
No, I just
employees.
thought I'd like to see where it was going, so I took a ride down at night, and it was very
Yeah,
dark
no.
down there, very dark.
I agree.
Thank you.
Just to follow up on Wakely Avenue, we're still on track to start the project this calendar year, though.
Correct.
Any other questions for Sheila O'Malley? Josh Short.
Not a question, but just a compliment to you three and Greg for the RugPad event, the media event before that was very nice. And I was shocked at how nice that space is. And, excited about the business going in. So that was a very good corporate.
Thank you.
Nice.
And I don't want to jump the gun, but we met with Dr. Stewart from Sacred Heart University and 4 of the interns who are going to be working closely with us here in Ansonia. Talked about marketing, we talked about branding, we talked about some of the services that they could provide. They're a graduate, it's a graduate program, and I'm missing Liz.
Yeah.
I'm going to mess up her
4+1,
name. Yeah. And so the students are very eager to work with us. They're going to work with us on our Ansonia Recharge project and anything else that they come up with that Dr. Stewart advises them on. So we're excited about that. We met. We'll give you updates on that in the coming months. Thank you. Any other questions?
Sheila? Seeing none? Thank you, Sheila.
All right. Thanks.
Richard Bashira.
Mr. President, members of the board, this month we'll be having a rollover of the bands. We'll be doing a sale this month, Thursday, and then finalization by the end of the month. We're going to roll them over until January, where we're going to probably go out to full bonding for the Housing Authority, the Riverside Demolition Project, and we will continue to monitor from there. We are working and continue to work on the audit process, doing a lot of reporting and supplemental data that we need for the audit. Also following the state budget process, seeing where we're going with that. Yeah, I still don't know, but at some point we're going to probably need to decide when we're going to do our motor vehicle taxes. That question comes up often, and my recommendation will be either, once we know what happens October 1, that we either issue the bills for November or pull them back and just do one bill for the month of January instead of a 2-part bill. So we'll be talking about the method that we wanted to kind of go forward with that. Also starting to gear up for next year's budget, and we've taken a hit on that. Just for those that don't know, Mr. Jaskilka has retired. So he will no longer be here. His last name was Friday. So that's it.
Any questions for Mr. Bashira? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Chief Hale?
Yes.
Please.
Mr. President, members of the board, quickly, we're knee-deep in the hiring process. We have 3 candidates in the, getting farther along into the process, so we're trying to secure committee seats for October. They're not easy to come by because we're not the only ones, obviously, trying to hire police officers. We're going to be rolling out a program soon. You may have seen it handed recently. It's called TIP 411. It's a program that we're purchasing through the asset forfeiture account, and it allows residents to call us or text us anonymously. We can have actually chats going on between police officers or supervisors and residents real time, as well as crime mapping, which is something I wanted to get out a long time ago. I can find the right forum for that, so that'll be coming shortly. We're working, I'll get a contract over to the Corporation Council so you can take a look at it. Sergeant Randy Justo is retired. His retirement dinner is this Saturday at 4 o'clock. If anybody's interested, Randy actually trained me when I got on the job. He left to join the Waterbury Police Department, so we wish him well. He did a great job here for 28 years. He was our firearms instructor. He ran our field training program, and so we wish him well there. And then finally, the First Baptist Church is running their 2nd annual Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, a week from Saturday, the 23rd. That's at the location on Pringle Avenue, Pringle and Benz. The Hinsons, Pastor Hinson's wife, Maud, in particular, put just an incredible amount of work into this fundraising. Talk about an event planner. She's really on top of this, so we're hoping that everybody will stop and say hello. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Chief. John Radin?
Thank you for the sign, but I do have another question for you. Do they check when somebody has a very noisy muffler? Because there's someone in our neighborhood that I think it's a little red car. It's constantly goes by the store, down the street, all hours of the day and night, and it has an extremely noisy muffler. Is there any law or anything?
No, there is. Your car has to be within
So
reason.
how can you report or stop it or report it? I report it?
Do you know where it is?
I can get you, next time I see it go by, I get the license plate.
Let me know, give me a call.
I will,
We'll
because,
figure that out.
and there's also somebody that's riding around on a, what do they call them, the little 4-wheel
The ATVs.
HEV with back and forth on Wakely Avenue and up and down Pork Hollow in that area. I just think it's dangerous there, that's
Well,
all.
it is, that's illegal.
I know it's not legal, but they didn't seem to care what they were doing. But if I get the number on that, I will
Please
call
do.
you.
We'll follow up.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Chief Hale? Charlie Stowe?
I don't want you to tell me everything you're doing, but North End seems to be,
So I'll give you an update on the north end, thank you. So we've altered, we've adjusted, we've done what we had to do up there. It seems to have worked out. The numbers, crime numbers in general are down in that area in particular. So we're trying to come at it from different angles, but our presence seems to have worked. But we're still trying to, mindful that the absence of activity there doesn't mean it's not happening elsewhere. So we're trying to pay attention in some other spots as well. Sometimes we end up chasing this around, if you will. And if you can make arrests, great. But we've seen a decrease. Certainly haven't seen what we were seeing before, the violent type of crime.
the neighbors been participating like you're
They have.
hoping?
We haven't had any more forums, but the officers have been out and about speaking to them on the various streets.
They've been calling the contact number on occasion?
Yeah, I don't know if I've got a phone. I don't know if we've had any calls on that, to be honest with you.
I hope so. We mentioned
We
it was
pushed
very
that hard.
important, yes.
We pushed that hard. I don't know that we've had it, but I'll follow up on that.
I guess I can call Officer,
You can call it.
yeah. Yeah,
But I'll let you.
yeah, thank you very much.
Joe,
Just briefly, I just wanted to thank you, Chief. I know there was a few break-ins over on the west side of town. The department responded quickly and apprehended them, so I just want to express my appreciation. I'll pass that along.
Chief, one last item, very quickly. I'm starting to get a lot of speeding complaints on Woodbridge Avenue. I want to thank you for being out there with your good sergeant, having those stop signs put up. You put the recommendation in for no parking signs in that curve there. But it's in that same location. I'm getting a lot of speeding complaints. So I don't know, is the speed trailer, do you have that deployed right now? Or?
We do. We've got I think we're 3 deep in requests for that.
Can I be number 4?
Okay.
All right, so if you have I know you're busy on the north end, if you got a spare cruiser to drive through there, whatever you can do.
No, well, I'll pass that along.
All right, thank you very much. Unless there's other questions, I think that's all the questions from the Alderman, so thank you very much, Chief Hale. Public official session, we also have Marcia Benno here from the Assessor's Office. You have some, please, if you could come before the podium. Just give us your name and your position for the public record.
Marcia Benno, Assessor, City of Ansonia.
Thank you.
I would just like to address President Tripp and the board and give an update on the 2017 revaluation performed by Municipal Valuation Services. Data mailers were sent out to all residents on May 1st with a requested return date of May 31st. Based on that information provided in the data mailers, discrepancies are being verified through a request for inspection. Sale properties or properties with building permits are also sent a letter for verification and/or inspection. The notices of revaluation changes will be mailed by mid-November, and the public will be able to access the assessment information online and in the office at that time. Informal hearings will begin mid-November and should wrap up by mid-December. Final notices will be mailed by the end of December and the grand list established by January 31st of 2018. To clarify, revaluation is a state requirement and it is a redistribution of the tax burden. Revaluation consists of appraising the value of properties both taxable and exempt using recent sales, building cost, and income and expense information from similar property types. Misinformation on the property record card that does not accurately reflect the parcel and amenities could lead to an erroneous valuation based on non-comparable properties. To ensure everyone pays their fair share, lots and buildings need to be correctly assessed. The fairness or equity of the property tax depends on whether similar properties are treated alike. Without a revaluation, assessments do not keep pace with the property changes and market conditions. Inequities creep into the grand list. When that occurs, some property owners may be assessed higher than those with comparable properties. They may be paying more than their fair share of property taxes, while others are paying less. And I would like to stress that property owners are not required to grant access to their property. However, if there is a discrepancy in our records, it will not be corrected unless there is an inspection to verify. And the most accurate information can be attained by working with the assessor's office and the revaluation company by providing information when requested and inspection when required. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Let's see. Anybody else? Let's see, we'll do committee reports. Mike, we're going to have you up under committee reports. Oh, what am I missing? Oh, Dr. Malone, do you have anything from the Board of Education, please?
We had a great opening for school, which began on September 28th. Mr. Brockett won his first game. We started, like the city, we started at the school system. And we got our first meeting on regionalization last night.
Good stuff. You know?
That's about that.
Okay. Thank you very much, Doctor. Good. And then Jared Arms, is that Mr. Blackwell under committee reports, or do you have something special?
I believe the commissioners are going to address that.
Okay, all right, I just want to be thorough, that's all. Okay, so that's it for public official session. Committee reports, Finance Committee. Everything been covered, Mr. Stowe? Or?
Okay. All bills are found to be correct.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thank you very much. Is that all, Charlie?
We had a meeting last month and we discussed, briefly discussed pensions, and we decided that we're doing fine just the way we are, right, Rich?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Public Works Committee, I guess Mike DeLassio, they're going to dump that in your lap. Anything you want to add beyond?
Mr. Tripp, Board of Aldermen.
Sir?
I've got a few things I can update you with this month. I got the summer help working out very well this year. They've been a big help. As you know, we're shorthanded, Public Works. It's a broken record every month, but we're shorthanded. Our Parks Department this year, we have 44 parks and lawns and islands is what we have in town, 44. We have 2 men in the Parks Department. This is how short we are in labor force. We get calls, why isn't Nelligan Park cut? Why isn't that park cut? Well, with 44 pieces of lawn, that's called parks, streets, and we have 2 men in the Parks Department. It's awful hard to do 44 pieces of property. So we have guys in the Maintenance Department, which is 3, that takes care of all city buildings, that I pull off, jump on, they cut grass. Somebody might call, this lawn got to be cut. So we're doing a lot of jiggling around every morning. So, I got my 3 foremen in the morning. We look at what we got, and we have like 8 men in the morning in Public Works, which takes care of bulk, garbage, streets, and building maintenance. That's why our foremen are out there working. Myself, I'm out there working. So we're a little short-handed. We get to it. Might take a little longer than normal, but we handle it. Like when you guys tonight, if you have a problem with something, you tell me, I write it down. Tomorrow morning, I'll be taking care of that guard wire for that pole. Things that are really necessary, we jump on it. Garbage is necessary every Monday, Friday. Bulk started for the next 3 months, 3 days a week, takes 4 men. That's half our workforce. So when them guys are out there, if there's a dead squirrel or PD calls, just a dead deer, I pull one of the guys off the truck, go grab it. Or if there's a pothole on Division Street, say, grab a guy off the truck, go get some coal patch, jump on the jump on the patch. Or if there's a street sign somebody can't see around it, oh, could you take care of it? One of the guys will jump up. Just to let you know what we do during the course of a day and how short Public Works really is. 20 years ago there was 43 employees. We're down to 23, and that's counting transfer station, WPCA, that's foreman, that's guy in the transfer station. So it's a lot shorter. Somebody retires, we don't replace them. Somebody else picks up the slack. So that's what we've been working on, and we're doing our even right now we're doing our crosswalks. There's 2 guys out there every day doing crosswalks. It takes usually a month to get all the crosswalks in town done. Stop bars, stripes, arrows, Division Street, Clifton Avenue, all the main intersections, and overtime is a little higher this year because the guys are out there weed whacking, putting down the chemical for the roadsides. So like I said, we jump around. 2 guys are out backing up curbs this week. People are saying the roads are paved. Why don't we get out there yet to put the dirt behind the curbs? We're out there this week. We're almost finished. So Public Works is very busy, and we're doing the best we could. And that's about it. Anything else?
Joan?
Yes, Joan.
Mike, I'd like to thank you I did call Public Works on the Division Street in Wakely because people in my neighborhood were saying that it was overgrown.
Right.
And
We took
on
yep.
Westfield, the end of Westfield, you got that too.
We did. Yes, we did.
But they've done it, and after the last Board of Aldermen meeting, I saw the fellows out weed whacking when I had said something about the garden going into the street. They did a great job.
They did. Thank you.
Everything, every time I call if it isn't a day, it's a couple of days that they do this, but the best job they can possibly do. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Mr. Blackwell.
Mike.
Yes.
Emmett O'Brien, on Ford Street there, the complex.
Yep.
Do we maintain that?
Yeah, that's another part that we maintain with. Actually, we have 1 guy in the Parks Department this week because there was a death in the family. So 1 parks person, we maintain all these fields. There's football going on, there's soccer.
Understood.
We take care of that field, yes.
No.
We cut it, we don't stripe it.
Us and the state or us and Emmett as far as?
It's a verbal agreement. We help them, we cut their grass. We
The
don't.
problem I have is that Ansonia Babe Ruth has no field.
Okay.
Once you cut down to make the football field,
Right.
the main diamond at Nolan Field has been obviously can't use it. There's no other 69 60, 90 diamond field in Ansonia, with the exception of Nature Center, which was converted to a soccer field.
Right.
And the one behind the concession stand going to. So our boys have nowhere to play.
What about on the practice
I
field?
was understood that they were going to use Emmett O'Brien.
Okay.
But they won't, from what I understand, they won't let them use it. I don't know the ins and outs of the agreement. My question to you is, I understand you're short-staffed, but
Right.
what does it take to get that practice field up and running? I mean, I know it's only a couple games, and I know it's painful, but the kids have nowhere to play. I mean,
I can get them to drag the
other
field.
communities seem to get this stuff done.
I know, it's,
understand where we're lacking.
and believe it, I've been through other towns just to see what their workforce is, and they have 5 and 8 men in their parks department. I mean, we have 3 regular, one guy's out for a while. We have 2 people in our parks. Like I said, there's 44 pieces of property that we cut every week, not counting all our parks, you know.
No, I understand.
I know it's like a broken broken, but it's
You know, from the spring to fall, there's
It-
baseball, and we don't even have a baseball field
I
in
know.
town, and that kind of worries me a little bit.
That's the same thing with the soccer's finishing up. We have the football just getting into high gear now, and it's, I know, I'm pulling guys out of maintenance. I had 2 guys from maintenance today. 2 guys were cutting the fields, and 1 guy was doing the line striping. It's like,
If anything we could do to help or whatever you need,
Well-
I'd like to get something done. I mean,
that practice field, I can go up there, have them drag it, line it.
I don't know anything about maintaining fields, and that's
Right.
what I'm asking.
I mean,
I
put-
want to first consult with the Babe Ruth, whoever their directors are,
Right.
to see if it's needed.
Okay.
But as I was told recently, and I discussed it with Frank today, they have nowhere to play.
I'll talk to Sean tomorrow morning about it. He knows more about the fields than I do. He's there every single day, so he'll tell me what it takes to get that practice field up and running for them kids to play.
Maybe take a look at Emmett, because you might run into conflict with youth football with
Yeah, well, they practice over there.
freshman field. If you can do Emmett,
I thought Emmett was a solution, but I guess they wouldn't let them play there. That's my.
I didn't hear
I'm
that.
only getting the second hand.
Is that what they said? I don't know.
well, that's basically what he
Yeah,
was trying to find out. Can we use Emmett?
I'll find out tomorrow. I know, like I said, I know we cut it.
That's why
We do the best we could. We don't line it. If there's nobody using it, I can't see why we won't use it. I mean, we have a good rapport with the state school. I'll talk to her about it.
And then, like I said, I don't even know who runs Babe Ruth, I gotta be honest with you. But it was
I don't either.
mentioned, so
All right.
I'm just trying to do my best for them.
Oh, I'll look into it tomorrow and see if we can use that field or another field. I'll talk to
Whatever
Sean.
you do, and like I said, I'll help whatever I have to
I
do.
mean, if they're playing, they're gonna need a place to play.
That's my point.
Yeah, I'll do the best I could tomorrow. I'll talk to Sean.
2 choices.
Okay.
Field up at the high school or.
All right. Sounds good. Hey, Joe.
Mike, do you foresee you hiring anyone soon, or you're so short-handed?
Well, with the budget season this year, we had a tough budget season. We were trying to keep our public works costs down. We're getting by. We're doing it. I mean, the guys are running ragged, believe it or not. We have them running all different directions during the day. They're not sent out, okay, we'll send you there for the day. Like I said, if a call comes in, bulk stop comes in, you know, Dave Blackwell might call, we gotta pick something up, I'll pull the guys off bulk, help him out. Somebody might call, you can't see her on the stop sign, they call the PD or they call ours. I just jump somebody up there, clean the stop sign so they can see where they're going. We got overtime, we're keeping the guys over a couple hours a day here and there just to get things done. We're definitely 2, 3, 4 guys short Public Works. I mean, it's not gonna be done in 1 year. Maybe if we can hire 1 or 2 a year for the next 2 years, maybe put it in next year's budget. The city has to shine, and without Public Works, it's, you know, I get a lot, the guys have been really working, step up to the plate, they're doing a great job, they really are. And I can't get much more out of them, so we're, you know, like I said, I'm running around every morning, trying to get done what I got done. I mean, Riverwalk, we're cutting that every week, that takes a whole day just to weed whack that. I put the garbage cans, I got new garbage cans finally up there, took a while, but I got them.
You're also prepping for the Riverwalk project for
I
some.
mean, we have meetings every day. I'm nonstop with meetings. Riverwalk has been in full force right now. We got the tub grinder going every day. All that brush has been coming in. We're saving on disposal with that. The tub grinder has been really chopping them up. We're sending, I mean, Hilltop Post, we dumped about 8 loads up there last week. That was all the brush that we've been bringing in. We're putting it all through town, so we're saving on wood chips. You know, we're trying to save money and also get things done. And that's, when you're shorthanded, it's the way it is. But like I said, if somebody calls, an alderman calls me and says, Mike, I need this done, the next day I jump on it. And then we go back to our normal routine. Like I said, sometimes a part doesn't get cut, or I wonder why Public Works is not there. If you see the staff, you won't believe it. There's 8 men there. I had more guys painting for my small painting business than I have for Public Works. And we have a lot of miles in town. So it's, like I said, we're getting there, and they're working their tails off, the guys. They're doing great. All the guys are working great job. And like I have a couple of guys out right now, so that's even shorter. So, like I said, if we could work on a couple of guys a year, build it up a little bit, we'll be in good shape. It's like the PD, same thing. You know,
Thanks for the garbage cans, so.
you're welcome.
Sounds good, Mike. Good job.
Okay.
Thank you very much, sir. Let's see. So, Arms Committee, Mr. Blackwell?
I believe I'm going to defer to Alderman Raden. I believe you're prepared to give the thing tonight. Are you?
Well,
If you're not, I'll do it. I thought you were
No, I'll
prepared.
do it, it's okay. We had 235 calls for the month, quite a few different ones. We did 8 mutual fund for Derby, 2 for Seymour, and 1 for Naugatuck. And our average was slightly up, the income was slightly up over last month. But the thing I would really like to talk about is something that I was very thrilled to be able to go when they got the Lucas, I don't even know what you call it, Lucas machine.
Lucas device.
That I actually was there and they showed me how to use it and I had a chance to try it. But Jared told me that they average 4 to 6 uses in a month. And I believe he said that one of the customers had, one of the people had a stroke and they put the Lucas machine on them because their heart stopped and everything. By the time they got them from their house to the hospital, they were breathing, their heart was moving, and they kept, the doctors down there kept them on Lucas machine for a little while. We really would like to get a couple more, hopefully, that we'll be able to find a way to get them. But I think, and he took me on a tour, he took us on a tour last night of the new ambulances, which the public is going to get to see pretty soon when he has open house. And the equipment and everything, it's in beautiful shape. They've done a beautiful job. And as I said last night to the people there, in the 6 years I've been on the Board of Aldermen, I think probably almost 6 years I've been on the commission for the arms, I have seen such a tremendous change. I just wish the building could be brought up to par. But the equipment and the cleaning and everything, hopefully people will be able to go down there when they plan their open house because they are doing a marvelous job. It's probably one of the best places, one of the best ambulance services in our area, specifically in the valley. But thank you to Jared and the people down there. You're doing a wonderful job. I forgot to say it on Saturday at Mass, at 4 o'clock Mass. Saturday at 4 o'clock Mass, somebody passed out and they had to bring the ambulances in. And they were quiet. The priest continued with the Mass and they had the patient on the stretcher and out in maybe 5 to 10 minutes. It was beautiful. They did a beautiful job. You're welcome.
Thank you, Joan. Is that it? Okay, WPCA, nothing, Charlie?
I did not attend. I don't know if any aldermen here did. I didn't hear of anything pressing that went on there.
I was at the meeting and no, there wasn't anything
They
there.
didn't.
The meeting wasn't
The
that.
Derby issue wasn't resolved yet.
No.
Right. That's
No.
been dragging on.
Nothing on that yet.
Okay, Fire Commission, Josh Short, please.
During August, the fire department responded to the following: 13 MVA assists, 3 smoke and odor investigations, 1 trash, 2 grass, 3 structure, 1 propane gas leak, 1 malicious false, 19 system false, 1 electrical hazard, 4 hazmat, 2 good intent, and 1 extrication issue for a total of 51 calls for the month of August.
Okay, thank you very much. Ordinance Committee, we already discussed. Mr. Carroll is out. I'll talk to him when he gets back. So there's no Ordinance Committee report. Housing Authority, is that Joan?
Okay, Mr. Prestiano did a very good job talking about what was going on. The one thing he didn't mention was that they are changing the meeting place is going to be at the Rotoli Center all year, and it's been changed to 6:30 from 6 o'clock because it was difficult for people to get there, so he handled everything else. He told the rest of the thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alderman. We have a Education Committee report from Mr. Joe Yaman, please.
Just briefly, we did have a meeting last night. To quote Mr. Phipps, I think the conversation was a frank discussion. I think it was productive. I do anticipate additional meetings. I think we're moving towards greater discussion about shared services, regionalization, and I anticipate more news on that front probably in the coming months.
Is that all, sir?
That's it.
Okay, thank you very much for that update. Municipal reports, vote recommendations. I understand Mr. Vaccaro has those. Please, sir.
I'd like to make a motion, I'd like to approve motion number 1 by vote, and also to approve late communication motion number 1.
Thank you. Is that a motion, sir? Okay. Motion. Seconded by Mr. Short. All those, Charlie Stowe?
I just have one question, Rich. The $5,000 that had to be issued from vote. Yes. The other 15,000, is that right?
I believe there's about 13 change in the budget. The original submission
So
was...
what I'm asking is are we taking money from the actual election that's getting ready to happen? Did we take it all, or is that money still?
The election is still there. This is on unanticipated primaries.
Okay.
She, registrar actually originally asked for the 18,000 change. It was kind of calculated out.
I just wanted
It was cut.
it clear for
This was
public.
broken.
So that money is still intact, waiting for you.
Correct.
Thank you.
So what's our total then? I'm hearing 13 and 5 is 18, or 18, or is it
It was
20,000?
originally budgeted at 13,000. They needed 18,000, so we added the 5
So
from both contingencies.
Total is 18,000 right now. Is that correct, sir?
Approximately. I don't have the exact number, but
Okay.
in that range.
Plus or minus. All right, thank you, sir. We have a motion on the floor. We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thank you.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I'd also like to make a motion to approve the controller approvals.
And there's a second on that by Mr. Yaman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thank you very much. And land use report?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to accept the land use report, and also point out that the office took in $54,474.81 for the month of August, including $39,000 and change from Blake.
Oh, wow, busy. Second by Mr. Yaman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thank you, Mr. Carl. Tax collector report and request for refunds. Mr. Castellitis.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the tax collector's report and request for refunds in the amount of $7,325.25 if found to be correct.
Okay, is there a second on that? By Mr. Yaman. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved. Accidents and claims, we have one accident and claim. Mr. Castellitis.
Refer to Corporation Council.
Is there a second on that? Mr. Yaman. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Let's see, we have two communications here. One is for from the fire department. I understand that we've already handled this, Mr. Bashir.
This board approved it last month.
Right, so this is just communication for record then.
Correct.
So communication number 1 will just be for record. Communication number 2, as Sheila O'Malley and Mr. Marini have already discussed, Corporation Council, you just want a motion to approve this communication, or how do you want the wording? Communication number 2 in regards to Holbrook Street.
Yeah, just motion to approve.
Motion approved, so at this time, Mr. Vaccaro.
Yes. Yep. So, a motion to approve.
Okay, second by Mr. Short. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Resignation. I have a resignation here from Mr. Robert Dunn. He writes to Mayor Cassetti. Dear Mayor Cassetti, it is with great regret that due to health issues, I must resign as deputy building official for the city of Ansonia effective immediately. It has been a pleasure serving the city for the last 22 years. I'll be happy to help in finding a replacement inspector. Sincerely, Robert Dunn. I'll entertain a motion for letter thanking him for his service to the city. Mr. Yaman? Is there a second on that? By Mr. DeLibero. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr.
Yes.
President, I just have a question for, I guess personnel, whoever wants to be personnel today. Mr. Dunn, when he's, because there's been discussion of reorganizing that building department down there, and we've got a lot of part-timers, and sometimes we don't have enough staff depending on what's going on. Is there gonna be an effort made to revamp that department down there?
Ideally, what the building department would like is an electrical inspector during the day.
Okay.
They put out an advertisement seeking qualified individuals. I'm not sure what we've received back so far. And I believe the building department also has been talking to a couple of inspectors that were referred to them. But I think the issue is trying to get somebody to cover the day.
More available hours
Right.
for the residents.
Right.
And it should be noted that we could work with salary on any proposed revamping. But if we're going to fill the inspector position, remember the inspector position is an appointment that needs to be nominated by the mayor and then given to this board for approval. So that is not a regular hire. That is actually an appointment through the charter. And so with Mr. Dunn's resignation, if that's specifically going to be filled, it has to be done in that way. But depending on because we also had talked about the idea of getting maybe a part-time individual to help with blight. So this could be a potential to make some suggestions to the Board of Aldermen salary committee on that. But nothing is in stone so far. Just we know we have a need to have someone available during the day in a position such as Mr. Dunn's.
So could you repeat how the appointment happens again for me?
So the way the inspectors...
Who appoints them?
Mayor makes a nomination to the board, but the board has to approve that.
So it's a joint effort?
Exactly.
Okay, so Mr. Martin isn't here right now, but I think we should, at our earliest convenience, we should make a salary meeting just for discussion purposes with the mayor's, some of the mayor's staff. Is that okay?
Yeah, for the building department.
Because we did mention about, I remember the special meeting that we had for blight, and I remember that during the discussion there was talk of a lot of these infractions aren't really being able to be taken care of because we don't have the staff.
Talk about finding better ways to get capacity to enforce that, working hand in hand with the police department.
Right,
and
so I mean,
enforcement
now
officers.
that we have this issue, maybe, Mr. Dunn was here a long time, he did a great job, but now that with him moving, maybe we can talk about the transition of this, because we have issues, I think, with the school. Is it Bob? Bob goes out and sees where people are supposed to live or not live to see if the kid... Yes, and I think he's been turning in reports and they've been unable to address them because of lack of staff, I think. Is that correct? Or... Well, there's a lot of issues.
We've added a lot to the toolbox in terms of enforcement, but of course we only have so many people to go out and do those enforcements. So the reports are of a great help, but each case could open a whole can of worms. So you're right.
Well, I know it opens a whole can of worms, but I'm also looking at some of these infractions that I had hoped and we talked about may help pay for employees in the department.
Yep, the money you're bringing in.
So we're going to have a discussion before there's an immediate appointment.
I think what we'll do is have turn to the building department to get them to put together a bit of a proposal that we could talk about at the salary committee level and then start figuring out how we want to shape the department.
I'm just, because there's a lot of people that are doing a lot of hard work in these areas, but there's like a dead zone.
Yeah, and also hours for the public.
Right.
But Mr. President, moving on from this, I know you just, the board voted to send a letter of thanks to Bob Dunn, and definitely warranted, but also want to bring up Jasilka. He's done an excellent job for us in the finance department as the auditor. It's definitely going to be missed. Just to recommend a letter thanks and congratulations on
A
retirement.
motion by Mr. Vaccaro and second over there by Mr. DeLibero. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved, unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Marini, for reminding me of that. Mr. Dunn. Wait a minute, I'm not missing a place. Any other questions, Mr. Stowe? Are we good?
Where are we now?
Well,
I mean, are we
appointments, there are none.
Resolutions, there are none, are there?
No resolutions, because I don't think this salary is
We're just sitting down
schematic.
with personnel, with Edith, to make sure everything is correct.
So that'll we'll take care of that next month, is that correct, Mr. Marini?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so that just leaves us nothing for ordinance, Mr. Carroll's absence. Any new business? Does any alderman have new business? Mr. Yalman, please.
There was just one thing that I wanted to bring to the attention of the board as well as residents, that I'm sure everybody's heard of the hack of Equifax and how it's affected over 150 million people nationwide. So I did receive an email. My brother was one of the people that was impacted, and it's the reason this information came to me. But Equifax has set up a website where you can check to see if your name was actually affected, and if so, they're offering services to sort of rectify that. But just for the public record, I want to put the website out there, Mr. President, which is equifax-security2017.com/potential-impact/. So that's the website. I know they have it on the Equifax Security 2017 website, but I urge everybody to check it out. I know at least 5 people personally that have been impacted, how that's going to impact their credit rating, or how the other credit agencies are reporting their information. So I urge everybody to do that. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Yalman. Are there any other aldermen that have new business? Are there any other aldermen that have new business? Hearing none. Any old business? Are there any? Mr. Stowe?
This is something that I feel is very important, and I'm not sure, there may be other board members here that may not like what I'm going to say, but I'm going to bring it up again anyway. It was brought up in public newspaper, I believe. I believe we need to have background checks for anyone that is dealing with any money with the city of Ansonia when they get hired. Now, we're going to be looking for comptroller, whatever, shortly. We voted on it before and it didn't get voted through. I would like to make another vote and see if it goes through. Where would you go with that? Ordinance, Mr. Marini?
Ordinance.
I would like to make a motion that we have a background check for anybody who's dealing with money. We haven't heard any reports on the tax collector, what's going on with that investigation. Is there any reports on that?
Should be coming to an end soon.
Okay, well, I don't know what's going on with that, but I personally, if I was responsible for this great entity here of Ansonia, I would want somehow to check and make sure people that work for me that we hired were, fit to be hired, fit to manage. I mean, it happens all the time that money gets stolen. However, I don't know, is there some way that we can make a vote to push it to an ordinance meeting?
If you want to request a vote, I mean, there just
I
needs to be a second.
request a vote. I'm sorry if anybody is offended by it or doesn't like it, but I saw it in a public forum. It was brought up, and it made me feel like I'm not doing my job by us not having some type of a background check for the people who work here to touch the money.
From the mayor's office, we can say certainly in support of a way of screening applicants to make sure they have not only experience, but also they could be trusted with the public's money. So, from the mayor's office, certainly a good thing.
Are you talking like retroactively or for all new hires, or I'm just curious?
Well, we would go, because I don't know how design this, we need to design this together. I mean, if somebody's got a background where they may have made a mistake, that doesn't mean they're not gonna get a job. But we need to, you know, we don't always necessarily know who's moving into a position and where they came from and what they've done, and we should be securing the city's funds, make sure we don't have something happen.
Is that yes? Is that
Yeah.
a motion, Charlie?
That's my motion would be to vote for approval of some type of background checks going through, ordinance first.
Is there a second on that? Well, usually we have a motion, second, and then discussion, so I'm not blocking you out, Joe. Is there a second? Joan Radin, second. Okay, Joe Yalman, discussion.
No, I guess it's a question on what the motion is. Is the motion to refer this issue to the ordinance committee to discuss? Because I think if you were sitting in my seat, you'd ask the same question, is this budgeted for? being that you're always the one bringing up the finance issues. So I don't know if background checks are going to cost additional money in terms of who's doing them. Are we going to be going outside the city to do them? Is that something that this...
Background checks are very costly, depending how they're done.
Well, I guess it depends.
Like, for example, our criminal background checks are cost-free.
Hang on a second. Mr. Malone, the Board of Education has to do background checks on just about everybody they hire. Is there a cost for that?
Well, which will pay the cost.
The person who's applying for the job? That's a good idea.
So then I guess my question is this a motion to refer this to the ordinance committee to discuss the language and see how this is going to...
Joan seconded it, and she's shaking her head yes.
I believe it should go to the ordinance committee.
You're right, and then come back to the
And
full
then come
board.
back.
I just was a little unclear as to what we were...
And the mayor's office supports it,
Yes.
so that's good.
So we have a motion, we have a second. Is there any further discussion? How do you want to vote? Pleasure, voice? What? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Okay. Is there any other old business? Hearing none, there's no executive session, so I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. Mr. DeLivo?
Make a motion to adjourn.
And Mr. Short? All in favor? Aye. Aye, opposed? So moved. Have a good night, gentlemen. You all set going out, Trish?
Thanks for coming up, Mr. Sweeney, and doing this.
Thank you.